Arun, I mean, the world should know that, you're also volunteering in iSPIRT, and it's been 2 years or 1 year?
One.
1 year. And it would be great if you can, make us understand more about the foundation, your contributions towards it, and what is the latest updates that you guys are working on.
Yeah. So I mean, of course, I've just volunteered there, right? And that's the beauty of that organization. Everybody is a volunteer. It's right. It is like a think tank, including people Nandan Nilekani, Sharad Sharma, who's been a scientist, and right, the people who started it. The idea is to get people who are associated with the India industry and doing their day jobs elsewhere to contribute towards India's technology uh, sort of development, right? And that's where a lot of people participate, right? And I've just been playing a role mainly on the digital public infrastructure, right? That's where people must be aware what we call as India stack, right? So in India, while digital transformation was gradually coming in, as it would anyway, in 2015 is when the government announced the Digital India program, right? Where the intent of that program was that at the grassroots levels, right, the lowest of lowest people should benefit out of digital technology, right? And there has been a very focused and concerted effort towards building India's digital public infrastructure, as they call it, right, DPI, where this technology is mostly open technology which will be used to deliver public services and for other purposes. So in India stack, as we know it, comprises of 3 layers. One is the identity layer, which commonly everybody knows as Aadhaar, right? So it is a digital identity for all of us. That is to manage how the people move about in the country, right? Once you have a digital identity, you are seamless you can be identified wherever you go, right? So that was the philosophy. So Aadhaar is the identity layer of DPI. Then you have the payments, right? And today everybody knows UPI is sort of ubiquitous, right? Without UPI, nothing happens. Payments don't happen, right? So that was again a conscious decision taken that, hey, we need to build this payments network, which even the common person can, with a mobile, can use, right? It was with that thinking PCI built, and right now it is everywhere. And the third layer is data.
Okay.
Right. So again, we all have problems of people calling us, right? Random calls, people selling this, right? So that has been a problem. It is not going to go away. But the big concern was, I am sharing so much. There is my data lying with banks, my bank statements, this thing, right? I don't have any control over it. If I want to go and take a loan from another bank, right, with whom I don't do the banking, he's going to ask me bank statement, show me or this, that, right? All this information they're going to ask, which I'm going to furnish it in physical format. But if there was a way, with my consent, this data is available to that entity to whom I'm going, they can use that data, analyze my credit history, and give me a loan, right? So the data sharing between entities to make it more secure and with consent
and seamless
is what was the intent of that data layer, right? And that's where the account aggregators have come up, and in just over a year and a half, it has become again so prevalent. Almost everybody is. So you can use that for just aggregating all my bank statements and showing me a single view of my net worth, or you can use that to give me credit, extend credit. Especially, you see all this kirana shops and all, right, where we just scan your UPI. That becomes a source. That information becomes a source for them to get a loan, a working capital loan, or a short-term loan, because that data can be shared with a bank. They can see, okay, this guy has this much cash flow coming in on a daily basis. I can extend so much amount of loan, right? So that democratizing of data it doesn't matter who you are, whether you are a billionaire or whether you are just a small guy, your data is in your control. That is the purpose of that data layer, right? And that is now being extended to AI, and they are saying that how can, like if IRCTC, for example, has so much of, we travel by train, right? So our travel history is there. Now, if somebody wants to build a machine learning model using that data, right, they can't just access IRCTC data. But if IRCTC is willing to share that data in an anonymous form, it has to be done in a controlled, secure manner, so that it cannot be de-anonymized, it cannot be sold to somebody else or misused. So that is the framework of sharing data between entities, is what again the data layer is working on. So there is personal data and aggregate data. There are two areas where the data. So these are the three layers of the India stack.
Yeah.
And that we have all seen how, because of Aadhaar and because of UPI, how things have transformed in India in the last 5-6 years. Right?
Like I would like to highlight like two very important points where people will not realize how it has really affected them. But like you mentioned, whether it's someone who's a billionaire or someone who's at the bottom of the pyramid, like it affects everyone. Like one of the stats which I read, that the DPI, the Digital Public Infrastructure of Aadhaar, has literally enabled direct debit transfers to so many underserved people, where first if they had to like, you know, subsidize something, or they had to like directly give the benefits to like the underprivileged people, the corruption in the country would not allow that. Like somewhere there would be leakages during the distribution of these benefits. But now, because there's direct debit transfer, it directly hits your bank account. And on the other side of the spectrum, where a lot of tech companies or like multinational companies, they onboard users, right? So the onboarding cost of these companies has changed. Like earlier, it was somewhere around $20-25, and because of the Aadhaar onboarding process, that has come down to like around 20 cents. So that's the difference in cost saving that has happened just because of India Stack. So it's a very important tool.
And I think the key to this is the way it has been architected. And Mac is a master of architecture, but the core principle that was thought through was to keep the design minimalistic. Right? So don't over-engineer and try to build everything around that ecosystem. So when you look at Aadhaar, all that it is you take biometrics and 5-6 data points: your name, your address, your age, or date of birth.
Parents'
right?
name.
That's all that it is intended to store, and that's all does it store. It doesn't care where you are using it, right? What it has in turn has done is provided a set of APIs, right? Which you can call that API with your Aadhaar number, or a substitute of a proxy for your Aadhaar number, because oftentimes people talk about, hey, my Aadhaar number, it's getting leaked. So they have built security layers over it over a period of time. But these APIs is what anybody can consume and sort of build into their workflow, right? You talked about user onboarding. There are other such assets that under the India Stack that are there that are not often talked about, like DigiLocker. If most of us now have a DigiLocker, our Aadhaar is by default is available through the DigiLocker. But you can also store your other documents, such as your driving license, right? And through APIs, these documents can be accessed, right?
Marks card.
Right? Then there is e-signature, right? Where you can have a digital signature and you don't need to do a physical signature. Now, if I combine an Aadhaar authentication with a DigiLocker with an e-signature, I have sort of been able to automate my entire onboarding. So which can happen in a 5-minute time frame rather than having to go physically give documents. So that's where the cost benefit has really come, right?
It's beautiful.
And it is possible because it has been designed in a very minimalistic way. You build standards and APIs which people can consume and let them innovate, right? And that's where the private sector, even UPI, the mechanism is very simple. Yeah, your mobile is linked to a UPI ID, which is linked to your bank account.
Yeah.
Now, what NPCI's framework provides is just the last leg movement of money. All the innovation is happening on the PhonePe and GPays and
the private players,
right? The private players, right? So that's how India's other key factor is the way it has kept the public infrastructure public, but let the private sector really innovate around it. That has really made it grow so fast and get adopted so fast.
Yeah.
Great summary.